What do you do when you have an awesome 20-foot boat that's sold like hotcakes? You make it better. Welcome to Saxdor 205. So in this video, I'm going to take this boat for a test drive. I'm also going to do a detailed walkthrough, going through all the improvements on this boat. It's got a toilet. My name's Dan Jones. Welcome to Dan's Boat Life. I'm in Poland. Hello, Poland. So yeah, this should be a bit of fun. Join me. Test drive starts right now. Stay tuned to the end of the video if you're interested in the features. I'll also leave some skip notes in the description if you don't want to watch the test drive, want to get straight to the toilet and other bits and pieces. If you like this content, consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, and also maybe support the Patreon. I'd appreciate it. Okay guys, 1.3 tonne boat total. She's about 1 tonne light ship. Fuel tank's about 110 litres on these. It looks like about a 20 litre tank of water, maybe 25. It's got a holding tank up the front. Quite a lot of changes. I'm going to cover them in the walkthrough because this is the test drive part. Stay tuned to the end of the video for the walkthrough. So let's get moving. I got full trim down. I'm on a lake, flat water. So if you want offshore information, stay tuned. I'll just do it when I'm back in Sydney. I clearly can't get that here on a lake in Poland. 115 horsepower on this one. Engine trim down, just giving a little bit of engine trim up. Speed coming through 20 knots, just as I experienced on the other hole. She's comfy. So the standard is 100 horsepower, and then you go up to the 115, which we've got now, but you can also do a 150 or the big 175, which you've seen me film already. So once you get up to 150 or above, you're probably doing trim tabs. I don't have trim tabs on this particular boat, and just putting it through a turn there. A couple of things I'm noticing straight away. This windscreen, it's a big improvement. I'm just cruising around at 25 to 27 knots here at the moment. Windscreen's a real big improvement. It's got a lot more extra protection or coverage. The wheel is on the port side as opposed to the starboard side, and the throttle is in the middle. I think you'd want to just pay attention if you're transiting for port or starboard through the boat if the engine is on, because obviously the throttle's going to be there. So just pay attention. Don't be an idiot. And the wind protection at the moment, it's in the standard settings. So at the moment, sitting down, the wind starts here and here. I hope you can see that on the camera. So I'm quite comfortable and warm. I'm going to extend those in a second. But in a cooler climate, this is a big improvement compared to the earlier model. I'm just going to put the boat through a little right-hand turn. I feel like I would actually probably option the trim tabs because this is a lighter boat. This is me personally, I like to go fast anyway. I want to be able to balance the boat because in any 20-foot boat of this size, you're going to notice your weight distribution. This boat is incredibly well weight distributed because they've got the fuel tank center mounted. That means your weight is down low. But I feel to get the optimum performance out of this boat, I would personally go for the trim tabs. That's just going to be an optional extra. I think most people who notice those minute differences in boats are probably going to get the same benefit as I. So let's pop this little windscreen out as we go. So now, you'll see this in more detail in the walkthrough. I've just extended the windscreen out by that much, and now the wind, it's out here. It's a real, and I'm not getting vortices behind me. And even the person on the back seat is getting some wind protection as well. So I can feel the wind. It starts here. So they're getting a moderate amount of wind protection, but I'm getting bucket loads of wind protection. So that's super cool. I'm just going to put that in. That's great. So yeah, I've just been doing that whole drive there at about 25, 27 knots. I'm just going to start bringing the speed up. Bring the speed up. Little 115 horsepower. I shouldn't say little. It's big for many people, and it's quite enjoyable. So this is awesome. Got a few fishermen out here. I'm probably going to be annoying them. G'day fellas. I don't think they say g'day in Poland, but whatever they say. Bringing those revs up. Let's just go wide open throttle. This is great. All right. Now I'm a wide open throttle. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a cavitation there. I must have trimmed it up a little bit too much there. I'm not used to driving these boats on flat water. It's a real different experience. Okay, I think I had too high trim before. So now I'm just getting to 30, 32 knots real easy. I'm going to back off the power, trim down into the turn. And increase my power out of the turn. Yeah, I think, you know, one of the real noticeable benefits of this boat is the wind protection. Next thing, it's worth saying, the transition. If you were a bigger bloke on the previous model with the T-top, you would have hit your head. I'm not even a big bloke, and I was finding that a little bit of a hindrance to my movement. This new T-top, not only are they great handholds, you know, I'm cruising along here at 30 knots right now. I can stand up and I've got this much space to spare. So that's this much space above my head. So a lot of bigger blokes are going to find it much more doable. And also, like as I am now, I've just flipped up the bolster. Having the ability to flip up the bolster and sit up, even this right now with this windscreen at my stature, I'm getting wind passing over my head. So this is great. Like it's not summer here in Poland anymore. It is autumn, and you know, it's quite comfortable. It's quite doable. Now let's put the boat through a little tighter turn. I haven't got my safety on because there's no waves, but obviously if there was waves or dangerous conditions, I'd stick it on. I noticed a few of you complained about that in the comments, so don't worry, I am alert to it when I need to. Do a little bit of boat wash, see how she handles. So the boat does respond to minute amounts of trim. Like, she feels better with a little bit of trim up at speeds of like that 27 to 30 knots. If you just forget about the trim setting the whole time, I think this hull, it's too small not to do any trimming. I mean, you can not do trimming, especially if you're in choppy water and the hull's just going to eat it up. But I think you will get a greater benefit, especially with this 115 horsepower. The 150 plus is a different story. You're just going to get better fuel efficiency and a more enjoyable experience, I believe, if you just trim the boat a little bit. It's not hard. Just trim it up when you go fast. This is great. This is awesome. This is an outstanding improvement compared to the earlier model. You got easier access around the boat. You got more sun protection. You've got incredible wind protection from a sitting on the bolster perspective, or sitting down. How's the transition go? Underway, that's fine. I would just be alert to having the throttle here like I mentioned before, but you just learn that. Don't be silly and you'll be okay. Use the safety if you're not sure about it. I love having all this. It's a better grab handle than what it was before, and it gives you also the hull design, which we'll cover in the walkthrough, gives you a sense of feeling like it's higher, because they've gotten rid of that window that they had on the side. I don't believe it actually is higher, but it feels like it. So if you were, you know, concerned about kids or dogs, you add that back door at the back of the boat now, and it's a whole different kettle of fish. Anyway, let's go find somewhere calm and give you a detailed walkthrough. Okay, so here we are. So many improvements. It's absolutely worthy of a new name because it's basically a new boat on the original hull. I'm going to start at the bow, work my way right through to the stern, and we're going to check out this toilet straight away because this is cool. It's the biggest toilet I've ever seen on a boat of this size, and I just spent half an hour sitting in it flying the drone, so I'm talking from experience. But now, up here on the bow, first thing, we've got this lovely optional seating area. It's definitely a one person or two if you're a boyfriend, girlfriend. But how cool is this? Very cozy, can communicate with people in the middle of the boat if they are stretched out as you would do on a social situation. And we have a seat just there. Cleat here, pop-up navigation light. Now this is the waist out for the holding tank, but that's actually getting moved. I like that decision because it's a bit ugly there. They're going to put it down here, which is going to be better looking in future. You can only evacuate the holding tank from the shore. You can't pump it into the sea. So getting into the now ankle locker, which is available on this as an option. You take the cushion off and pop this open, and you have a decent size ankle locker with space to hold anchor, chain and rode, and a spare emergency paddle if you wish. So that's pretty cool. Then you have this bow area here, and essentially we have a couple of courtesy lights just in the bow, and they move their way through the back of the boat. I'll point them out as we get there. But two sunshade holders here. So you have a pole here, and this area can be protected in shade. This seat just here, ergonomically designed. So this is great, possibly for driving. So if you're like running like this or like this, your head height, just look at my head height relative to whoever is driving. I feel like this is okay to drive with somebody safely at speed. So I wouldn't really have an issue with that. These are quite smooth forgiving hulls. So in moderate chop, this person isn't even going to be uncomfortable. And I also like it for weight distribution. I don't really like sticking people down all the way at the back of a boat of this style and size, because that's really chucking off the center of balance and the thing's going to drive weird. So let's get to the toilet, because this is cool. 20-foot boat with a loo. So we now have a window here. We've got a window here, which I've utilised. Getting into the toilet, I'd say you'd actually do both ways. Like, that's not really a problem, but that kind of works as well. Look at me, I'm standing on the toilet floor and I'm only just hitting my head there. So it's absolutely fantastic. And as you get in, I've got shoulder room just here, and it actually expands. So on either side, it actually expands when you're in the loo itself. It does not feel claustrophobic whatsoever. Got a little drain on the toilet floor. I noticed when we were in reverse, some water came up through the drains. That must be, the outlet must be below the water line. Easy fix if that annoys you. You just plot a little cork in it. Got a sink just here. You got your battery on and off, and got all our fuses in this location as well. And a beautiful upholstered panel, which has got pockets in it for putting items, safety items or whatever you wish, but the panel will also remove if you want to get behind the helm. So that's quite clever. Double gas struts, and as I said, this window is great because when you are actually in there, it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. So what a cool option. Now, it makes this boat a proper little adventurer or day entertainer. Having a toilet, it's inclusive, put it that way. Not everyone can be off the side. So coming down either side, it is centre mounted, makes sense. Again, centre of gravity, you don't really want to have offset helms or offset seating on a boat of this size because it would throw the balance out. But you come down the side, I'll point it out on this side, your fender attachments are here and there. It's essentially a little boat, so manoeuvring it by hand is a cinch. These grab holds just here, if you get the T-top, everyone in Australia is going to do that. Other countries, we shall see, are going to get that, and you can really just hold the boat with one hand, let it bump into this rubber fender here up against the dock, and then pull the fenders out as you see fit. Now, it is worth pointing out, there isn't the fender lockers, we'll get there when we get to the back of the boat, like you had on the original model, because we have a toilet. So you would probably store those fenders in the loo, and I've got a couple of ideas how you could maybe slightly refine that toilet area to make it even better than it already is. So coming to the middle of the boat, this is a new windscreen. I've just tested that, as you saw, but the wind vortices are great. It really sends the wind up like this from sitting on the raised bolster. Sitting on that, I didn't have any wind in my face. And then when you pop these windscreens out, so this is just fantastic. Like, it even, we would utilize this in Sydney in the winter because the wind's still quite nippy. You pop this out, both driver and navigator are completely protected, but there is even moderate protection for the guests back on these seats here, because the wind, I put my hand back and it was kind of about there. So these people, if they huddled into the middle, they're going to essentially be nice and cozy. So that was cool. So yeah, this part of the windscreen here is fixed on that angle. These two wings pop out and you have this window going down to essentially make the head more spacious. The next thing that's super, super noticeable and a big improvement, this T-top. New design, it's a material insert surrounded by fiberglass, but it's full beam and it's much higher. So I'm standing and I've got that much room above my head. So when I'm sitting on the flip-up bolster, I've got bucket load. So if you're a big bloke, you're not going to have a problem. If you're 6'5", you're still going to hit your head standing up, but you'll probably do that on most 20-foot boats with a T-top. So what can I say? But from a seating and sitting up on the flip-up bolster, it's great. It really is great. And also, this particular seat option, so this is optional. The standard seat option is different, but these go forward and back. So we've got the flip-up bolster like so. It'll go forward and back, and it'll flip around, which we'll get to in a second when I've finished the helm. So just focus in on the helm a little bit. It's awesome. Steering wheel on port, throttle on the center. You do want to be careful about transiting from port to starboard with a throttle in that position, so just pay attention to it and use the safety if you're not sure about it. You've got the drink holder just there and there, so one for driver and for navigator. The dash itself, super modern, clean and elegant is my kind of impressions. We've got this grab handle just here above the main part of the dash. Beautiful flat area here, which will clearly facilitate more than one screen. We've got the single, that looks like a 9-inch Simrad on it right now. And then you come down to this lower part of the dash, which I think this is perfect place for mounting phone holders. So I would probably have a phone holder just here, because then that's also a logical place for your phone charging right there. We've got our Fusion just here. Currently, this is the Morse throttle because we've got the 115. This would be an electronic throttle if you went to the bigger motors. And if you had the bigger motors, they're probably going to have the trim tabs. Therefore, the trim tab's going to be mounted somewhere around this location as well. I personally would go for the trim tabs. You do notice it, 20-foot boat, lighter weight. It's a really nice hull. It likes a little bit of trimming and you'll get a better experience, you know, if you're the sort of person who wants to refine every little detail. If you're just giving it to your kids and you're running around using it as a tender, then no one's going to notice. On the port side, we've got navigation lights, anchor light, roof light, deck light, bilge pump 1, bilge pump 2, horn and auxiliary. When we say bilge pump 1 and bilge pump 2, it's a stepped hull. So we've got one bilge pump located in the middle of the boat, probably aft or forward of the first steps, because that's going to be the lowest part of the boat. And we have the other bilge pump at the back of the boat. So that's going to catch any water that makes its way to the back when the boat is on the plane. We have this little storage nook just here. You could, it's got a big pocket and then 1, 2, 3 small pockets. Great place for putting keys and phones and those sorts of things during the day. We've got our safety on the port side of the wheel, our key start on the starboard. It's a fixed wheel, Saxdor logo, and like a plush leather kind of wrapping. It was comfortable, did everything I needed. And the seats are great. I really, really like these. I think that's everything. Oh, speakers, sorry, on either side of the center console, just there. These are great. This is a real improvement for, just remind yourself, we are looking at a 20-foot boat. This is now a boat that will do what most 27-foot boats do. Like, just think about that for a second. So, yes, you can use it as your car to run around the harbour or the bay or the lake or get to your holiday house. Yes, you can use it as a tender to your big boat, but you can also use this as a full-on day boat and have great days with you and 3 friends, maybe 4, depending on what engine option you choose. You could be towing biscuits, no problems. You could be visiting restaurants and cafes, no worries. Or you can go to anchorages, because when you've got a toilet, the ladies can go to the loo. It's as simple as that. So setting this area up with these seats facing aft, these lunch tables flipped up. We've got drink holders in the middle. We've got 3 here. Add to that the 2 more up forward. Everyone's catered for with their drinks. We have storage underneath here. So that's really important, because that's kind of another storage area that's protected from the sea. So if you copped a big wave or you copped water up from the back of the boat, things in that storage area are going to be protected. Then it doesn't end. You've got open storage lockers with a little bit of a 1-inch ledge underneath the 2 aft seats. So what do you do with those? When people get on, they're probably going to take their shoes off. They want somewhere to put their beach towels. That's going to be perfect for underneath these seats, but they probably got on with a handbag or a bag. So you might take those items that you're going to use throughout the day, like your phones, put your phones there, and put 1 phone on charge, maybe 2 if necessary. You're going to have drinks, so drinks are going to go in the drink holders, and you might have a small esky, which you'll throw in underneath these seats here. But then everybody's bags and handbags will go under here. It's a great spot for it, and then you can leave the toilet just for the fenders and essentially for going to the toilet. So great design, huge improvement, and nice styling. This material's similar to Silvertex. I don't know what it is, but definitely has a hard wearing kind of feel about it. Before I get to the transom, let's just talk about some of the changes here. If you remember in the first model, there was like a window just here. So that was it was a styling thing, and in the 320, it really increased your sight lines, and it gives you that sort of fighter jet race car feel when you're belting along, and you can see more when you bank through the turns. It was more of just a styling thing on the 200, the original 200. So I think they've done away with that, and this having this bar here and the feeling, I guess, of security for little people and dogs seems a little bit more practical now that I've seen it and experienced it myself. The construction, it's strong, as you can see, and I've got our anchor light up top. I've also got, just noticed that, that's cool. We've got strip LED here. So this area can be illuminated. Once again, everything that you would expect on a 27 or 28 foot, I'm finding on a 20-foot boat. So that's cool. You've set this area up, your sun's set, you're still enjoying yourselves, you want to hang out a little bit longer, switch on the LEDs, you can see what you're doing. Awesome. Really good improvement. Now, it doesn't end. I know quite a few of you, because you leave comments. If you are interested or have something to say about this boat, leave a comment, because this is how I get your feedback. I find it fascinating. A lot of people didn't like the open transom on the early boat. They were worried about their dogs falling in the water or their grandma or whatever. Yeah, fair call. So they have now added this transom gate here. So that gives you the safety factor for little people or little animals, and it operates like so. The doors open like this and this, but I can hear you saying already, what am I going to do when I trim the motor up? So this area here lifts out and stores in the toilet up the front. I think Saxdor could probably make a nice little bag. That might be something they should think about in the future, or even somewhere to slot it there properly. I can see some spider web on the camera, so just be careful. Get your hand on the camera. Can you see some spider web? It's like, yep, there we go. Live YouTube right there. So yeah, that's great. It's stylish, it's practical. You could sit on this one here. I don't know whether you'd sit on that just there. That's probably not weight bearing, but it's a really good feature. I think that's a huge step up. And don't forget, you can also sit on these corners here and use this as a social area. So if these seats were turned around, that's another option. This becomes a whole social area. Obviously, if there was people on either side, I'm going to balance the boat out a little bit better. But this is like a Korean finish just here. And what you, as I mentioned before, the earlier boat had the fender lockers in here, but by doing away with those, we now have more usable space back here, which makes a lot of sense because that toilet is so huge, meaning we've got bucket loads of options just in there. But what do we have back here? We've got the Korean finish, we've got the water in. So that water tank, it's just down here. It looks like it's about a 25-litre tank. I don't actually know exactly. I can confirm that in the description. And the fuel tank is 110 litres. Coming out the back, we had the courtesy lights up the front, we've got courtesy lights in the middle, and then we have more courtesy lights down the back, and then we have swim ladder. That's neat. Just goes like that, and you've got this grab handle to pull yourself out of the water when you've been for a dip. So that's kind of cool. We have another cleat just here, and am I missing anything? Oh, of course. Oh my God, I forgot about that. It's got a swim shower. Because it's a 20-foot boat. This is great. This is awesome. And then this technical space, I did have a look in here. It's this panel just removes. It's really just for accessing important bilge pumps, tankage, and systems. It's not for storing anything. It's rubber sealed and drained. The drains go out into the water. So, yes, you can put this boat on a swing mooring or leave it out in the elements, and the rain is not going to get in the bilge. It's going to drain off the back of the boat. So I think that's everything. Obviously, there's engine options, standard with 100. I got the 115 on this one, do 150 or 170, 175, I forget. Bigger motors. And the seating options vary as well. This is not the standard, but I think this is going to become very, very popular very soon because it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, what's my wrap up on the Saxdor 205? If you were considering a bigger boat, have a look at this boat. If you want something to keep for a while because it's going to tick a lot of boxes in terms of functionality, you know, speed, performance, those sorts of things, and options to go places and do things, this boat is absolutely going to do that. I personally, from what I've just experienced, I think this boat's probably going to be an industry leader for the next year or two. They've really ticked off a lot of boxes in a little boat, which I haven't seen before. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. My name's Dan Jones. This has been Dan's Boat Life. If you like this content, support the channel. I appreciate it. Get on the Patreon. Stay tuned because I got a really interesting test coming tomorrow. The Saxdor 220. 270. Get it right, Dan. It's 270. Anyway, okay. I'm here in Poland. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it too.